leaning into the body, the mind saying something has to shift and listening to it instead of just saying, nope, it's just in my head and I got to keep moving forward, which can't really work that way anymore. At some point, it's going to give.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new here. We have the lovely Dr. Priyanka Venkataraman here today. She is a board certified OBGYN, a life coach, parent coach, and mother. And I have had the honor of knowing her in many different facets and watching her journey and how she supports others. So I can't wait for her to share her story and how she has helped serving people today. So, Priyanka, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Jillian. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm so grateful to have gotten to know you, to be in your space, to be around you. So thank you.
Well, likewise. And for people who have not yet had the opportunity to meet you, can you share your story with them?
Sure. Yeah. So I am a physician, an OBGYN physician. I practice traditional medicine with call and everything else that a full-time OBGYN job requires till March 2022. And since then, road has shifted several times, and I have so much more going on since then that it's been a great gift to have this time away from medicine to figure out what I want to do. So basically, I never grew up knowing that I could choose to do something a little sideways and off the beaten path. I thought I
Wow.
had to go straight
Yeah.
through.
Isn't that
So,
profound? And I know that you're a Martha Beck Wayfinder life coach, and I've experienced you navigating these questions. I would love to hear after you realize, wow, the experience of developing the awareness that you could create something off the beaten path. And what was that journey like for you?
yeah, so that's exactly it. I didn't know any better for a long time. I came to the US when I was 17 for undergrad, knew that I was supposed to go into undergrad, go into med school, go into the next thing, residency, become an attending. And my path was just straight. And I probably had blinders on that didn't let me see any other path forward. Um, it took leaving for my child to then take a beat, take a breath, and then look around and notice, well, there's actually a lot more paths out there.
Mhm.
So taking that moment to rest was what really gave me that time to truly look around. Because when I was in it, it was just I was at that point of just trying to make it through, just surviving through each day, waking up, doing everything, getting to bed late, starting over the next day. And there was just no time, no room to even assume the possibility of a different path. So taking that break was the right thing for me. And since then, I've been on this amazing personal growth journey. And a lot of what I've done over the past couple of years have been to truly learn more about what makes me tick, because I don't think I ever knew that before, to relearn who I am, because I don't know who I was anymore.
Yeah.
And then to truly heal myself and grow. And my journey in the past couple of years have been more to grow personally in my own challenges of self-worth, and then grow in our family relationships with my son and my husband. And now I'm concentrating more on my physical health because I know sometimes I lack on that. I've had this mindset, and I'm sure a lot of women physicians can relate, that we ignore our bodies, we don't go to pee when we should. And it's continued a little bit. I'm working on it, but it's continued a little bit so far. So now I'm truly listening to my body, what nutrition feels right, what activities feel right. And I'm working down that path now. And I like having these seasons of life where I, first worked internally, then worked in my relationships. Now I'm working more on my body. And in that journey, it's been so amazing to me that I've realized that I want to share my journey with others and bring them on it, because there's just so much that others could, benefit from. There's so many little tweaks that I've made and met so many amazing people along the way, seen them make some little tweaks which have caused an amazing ripple effect, which is just beautiful to see.
And yeah, walk us through that when it seems like you left practicing to care for your child, is what I heard, right? And
Hmm.
you said rest. I know parenting isn't resting, but taking some space from practicing clinical medicine. And what were the steps like so that when people, who are still in it right now, who haven't yet taken moves to see what they can do, what were the first shifts like?
Yeah. So leaning back into when I left, I can say now I left for all the wrong reasons. And I realize that now, where I probably was getting burnt out back in 2018, 3 years before I finally left. And that was even before I had a kid. And having a kid, going through breastfeeding and pumping for 14 months because he had allergies and so many things going on with him that he couldn't tolerate formulas that we tried. It I still pushed through and kept going and going. And it took him not having childcare for me to step away from medicine, saying that I need this, he is priority. My then 2 year old was priority over my own health. Because, I worked through everything. I worked through a broken ankle. I worked through a back pain. I worked through so much that it's just ingrained in us to keep going. And I kept pushing through. But it took him needing me to taking that break. So already there, now looking back, I know that I probably should have taken a break a long time before that.
Mm.
So if anyone's hearing this, don't wait till that last minute, till everything just drops while you're trying to juggle 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 balls up in the air. Take that break beforehand and pick the balls you want to keep up there juggling. Sorry, that metaphor just came to me.
Yeah, what do you feel? And I have some ideas, but I'd love to hear your thoughts and reflections on what you felt prevented you from giving yourself permission to prioritize yourself sooner.
I don't think I knew any better. I just, again, I think those blinders were just on. There is only this path forward. There is no other way. This feeling of just being trapped where we are. I tried in 2018, and the reason I mentioned 2018 is because I remember trying, looking for a different position then. I was interviewing around,
Mm.
and then I still settled back in the place I was at because I realized the grass wasn't any greener on the other end. And now reflecting back, I think that was my mind and body telling me that I'm not happy with what I'm doing right now. So
Wow.
leaning into that and just leaning into the body, the mind saying something has to shift and listening to it instead of just saying, nope, it's just in my head and I got to keep moving forward, which, yeah, can't really work that way anymore. At some point, it's going to give.
And if you
But
were
yeah,
speaking to past Priyanka and for the people that need language for speaking to themselves right now in those moments, what do you feel the message could have been that would have helped you to take a step back at that point?
it could have helped me take a step back. I think the simplest thing that I would say, it's okay. Because the mind goes into, well, what if this happens? Well, what if I lose this job? Well, what if I can't come back in? What if I take this time off and they're all upset with me? What if the patients are not happy that I'm leaving for a bit? Or what if my colleagues don't want to take over my patients? Or whatever else comes up in our minds, just listen and be like, it's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think also knowing that we're going to disappoint people if
Mm-hmm.
we leave who are benefiting off of our presence there and allowing ourselves to disappoint them. And I find that the concern about what other people think has usually prevented a lot of people from making a change or even taking
Mm-hmm.
a day off. Right? Like a
Oh, yeah.
day, like I'm feeling well. So where I work, they have wellness days, two of them. Well, 16 hours, so 2 full days. And it has set such a good precedence to say, I'm going to take today off, not because I feel sick, but because this is my wellness day and I'm going to do what it takes to stay well. Like, how can we
Love it.
implement that message into our life, even if we don't belong to an institution that has those available?
Yeah, absolutely. And this, it's okay also means it's okay to go pee when you absolutely need to instead of holding it in till you finish seeing that patient who might be a little upset. It's okay to take that 1 minute for yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so fascinating too, because even now, like I work from home And I'm curious as to you and to anyone else listening as to who still holds their bladder, even if they have the opportunity to be like, what am I doing? Like, why am I still not just listening to my body? I do find that, it's a traumatic experience where in order to practice medicine, you kind of dissociate from your body.
Mhm.
And to get into your body and to be able to tune into those signals, as basic as they sound, it's like a relearning process, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I was still doing it. I still am at times, and I have to remind myself, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's this, I almost feel like it's this dissociation with the body because, and for me, at least personally, some of it was absolutely medical training telling us to avoid signals from our body for rest and for hydration and for eating and for hunger and peeing or whatever else. But for me, I think this has been coming up a long time for me, especially as I'm diving into parent coaching. There's this idea that I just didn't feel comfortable in my own body. And that is the work I'm doing on myself this year because when I'm in a situation where there might be some conflict, or when I'm in a situation where I might have some feelings about it, I'm the person who does the flight for the fight or flight. And that flight to me sometimes is to physically move away from that situation to avoid conflict, but even internally to distract myself so I'm not spending time with myself. So I'm not letting those emotions flow through me. And I know in medicine, it just reinforced that that is the norm, that you just don't feel what you need to feel. You don't grieve the loss of a patient. You just keep moving to the next patient.
Mm-hmm.
And it just reinforced that, oh, yeah, this is how we live. This is what it's supposed to be. And it's a lot of relearning the no, I do have to and do want to get to know myself, feel and sit in my body. And truly doing that allows me to experience the good and the bad, the great uncomfortable emotions and the fun emotions, all of them together more intensely rather than trying to shy away from a part of me. And then I don't even feel the joy as much. So
Yeah.
that has been a big relearning for me. Absolutely.
I appreciate you sharing that and thinking about all the ways we numb ourselves to not feel those emotions. And for me, I really resonate with what you said in people who have any issues where it's workaholism, scrolling, social media, alcohol, substances, eating disorders, whatever other compulsive thing that helps us to numb and to avoid our
Netflix.
feelings. Netflix, right? Name it. Anyone in the comments, name it, right? It's we've done ourselves a huge disservice in education, not only up to medicine, it's like education system and the way our society really downplays the importance of allowing ourselves to feel and to express our emotions in a really, there's many different ways to express your emotions that are healthy, such as writing or through art or through communication in therapy and movement. And like there's so many different ways to really fully embrace what it means to be human and have all these different feelings coming up. But especially in older generations where they're taught like suck it up, I went into surgery because I was so sensitive, and I thought, well, if everyone thinks I'm this badass surgeon, no one will know I'm super sensitive and very emotional. And then I just became a super sensitive surgeon, And so anybody, like especially knowing how beautifully you connect in your intuition and being in surgery and being in medicine, I can only imagine how it takes us out. And because you're a Martha Beck Wayfinder life coach, it's using her terminology, it kind of removes us and quiets our essential self in order to really cater to that socialized self, which sounds like what you were saying when you were putting the blinders on and that's all you knew, because it's kind of what society has been teaching us.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. This idea that culture, that's how it is supposed to be. And then we try to just fit in the mold that culture requires us to, and we lose ourselves in the process. Absolutely. Yeah. And I have to say, the Wayfinder Life Coach Training Program has been the best thing that I've done. It's truly helped me get to know myself, my intuitive, my empathic self, and leaning into my sensitivities instead of shying away from them and hiding them and, yeah, not letting others know that I'm a sensitive person. Absolutely. Yeah.
And for people who maybe aren't familiar with the Wayfinder tools or with coaching, can you share a little bit how the Wayfinder coaching has helped you?
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest part, which I kind of mentioned, is to take that stillness into it, to just bring ourselves at a point where we can rest and lean in and listen into what our bodies are telling us. Because a lot of times we've lost that connection. There's this image that comes to mind of me with a head kind of like lopped off to the
Mhm.
side, and relearning that there is that connection, spending time just getting to know what physically we might be feeling in our body, even down to, are we feeling tingling in our fingers? Are we even cold or hot in our body? Do we need a blanket? Do we need something solid underneath us? Like, what are we even physically feeling in this moment? And then leaning into sometimes the signals the body gives us in different situations, looking back at our past experiences, whether it is a negative experience or a positive experience, and remembering what that body felt then. So, kind of like the body compass that is described in the Wayfinder program has been a key point for me. And now, what I've done is when I'm practicing stillness, when I'm practicing just a moment for myself to re-energize myself, all I do is a quick 2-minute body scan. And the more I do it, the more information I get, the more I learn to naturally then lean into my body and tell me intuitively what's the next right step for me. So, starting small step for anyone out there, look into a video or audio of just a body scan, close your eyes and just go through it. And that's the first way to just relearn and reconnect with the body that I found was really helpful to me.
Well, that's beautiful. And tell us a little bit more. I know you're finishing off a parent coaching training, and I'd love to
Yeah.
hear more about that.
Yeah. So after I quit, I jumped into coaching. And before that, didn't even know what it was, what it meant. And as soon as I found out, got more into it, met you, I just couldn't get enough of it. Not only as a client, but also realizing that this is where I can feel like I can serve and truly serve. And I started off by just wanting that personal growth and learning for myself, which is where I started with Wayfinder. And I also was a client for a parent coach through the Jai Institute of Parenting. And this happened last summer. And at the end of summer, even my husband was saying, I don't know what you did, but something shifted between you and your son. And what you're doing is beautiful. So I'm glad that you're doing it. And this is coming from a skeptic for any
Mm.
programs or coaching or extra things that I do. So it just brought so much value to the fact that, yes, this matters. My family, my relationship matters. And now that it's been another few months, I've realized that I want to lean into that and dig even deeper into that program. So now, in the next few weeks, I will be getting parent coaching certification through the same program, Jai Institute for Parenting. And I'm looking forward to serving more families. And it's a very big and ambitious goal of mine. But what I found is, as I connect with my kid, as I help him understand his emotions, understand his feelings, help him feel secure and safe in himself and his own body, that is making him a more resilient human being for the future. And that is going to help our next generation truly make this world a better place for all of them. And that
Mm.
has been like this underlying goal for me, starting with my own family, with every next family that I help. I'm just hoping to change that world a little bit better for everyone in the future, especially for my own children.
Yeah, especially right now. I think the weight of the world is really being felt by everybody. And to be growing up, I think providing our younger generations with the tools and the awareness to support them in overcoming and navigating very, very tumultuous times is, I think, is the best word I can come up with at this moment. But to showcase, I'm curious to know like what you perceive to be before coaching with that parent coach, then what you learned from that process, and then after, what were the shifts for you?
I think the biggest shift that has come up, even with Wayfinder and reinforced with parent coaching, is this underlying fear, shame, and guilt that can be the driving force for any decisions that we make.
Mm.
And how all of that is coming from a sense of I'm not feeling safe, from a sense of feeling insecure. And as we continue to foster safety in ourselves first by reflecting inwards as a parent first, make ourselves a safe harbor for our children who still don't know how to be safe in their own bodies, then they can lean into our safe harbor and then hopefully learn how to feel safe in themselves and then not make decisions coming from the fear of retaliation, fear of someone else hurting them, fear of judgment, even. And as soon as they feel safe, then that the freedom of the different opportunities of making decisions from a place of being open and abundant can be just so amazing in the world.
That is such a gift. I found safety kept coming to my mind about not feeling safe. Right? I live in a really busy city that has a high crime rate. And ultimately, I can never feel safe within my own mind and my own body. For anyone who has experience with any sort of addiction and feeling like your life is not your own. For me, with anorexia, it's like I can't get a break from a very misunderstood disorder where there's not a lot of answers out there. And it's when you were saying it, I just felt within my heart, like even the way I know you, and I know like when I talk with you, I feel so safe and supported, and you working on it within your own self creates this environment, this safe space, this wonderful discussion that we're having. And I found that as I was seeking safety, I was finding groups where I could be more and more vulnerable. Of course, you're one huge asset in that. Martha Beck's program was one aspect of that. And I, question people who are listening to this now is, do they feel safe in their body, or where have they felt safe and where don't they feel safe? And what is that showcasing for them about things that they may need some more support with? If they're in a very unsafe circumstance, what needs to change there? If they're feeling unsafe within their own mind, within their own heart, like which healing modalities need to be leaned into there? Because if we don't have safety, it is the foundation to everything. It's really hard to live a life and feel your emotions and to really lean into taking opportunities and seeing your self-worth if you're not feeling safe.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, I truly feel it. And that is my struggle too. Safety within is the is my motto that I have to reinforce for myself too often. Yeah.
Wow. That in itself is just the most powerful gift I think can support people to navigate. So thank you so much
Mhm.
for doing that and saying that.
Yeah, yeah. It was mind blowing to me to be told that all limiting beliefs arise from feeling unsafe.
Mm. Yep. I'm
Yeah.
just going down the list in my head, so I'll say them out loud
Mhm.
so that people know. I'm just thinking money scarcity.
Mhm.
When people don't want to come out and be visible on social media or in a leadership position or taking care of patients in some way, or residents being in a situation where they think they have to know it all, or early career attendings, like unsafe because we feel like we don't know everything, and therefore the lack of safety comes from being found out, quote unquote, right? Like I found out that I don't know everything, which is absolutely okay. Nobody does, but it's a very common experience to have all these incredible doubts that sometimes can lead to self-sabotage.
Mhm.
What other
Leaving a
limiting
job, leaving a job that
job?
you wanted to, but feel like it'd be unsafe for you to try something different, staying away from the unknown because of this feeling of not being safe if it's unknown to you. Yeah, all of that. Yeah, that one sentence just blew my mind.
It also brings up for me in 2021, I was going through a period of I was working for no pay. It was not a great time for two institutions. Not a great time. Not a great time. But in this current moment, I'm also entering a time of uncertainty, and I'm comparing the two times in my mind and in my heart, and like, why do I feel kind of more at peace? I'm often very anxious about not having a job, but that's like in my head, whereas like my heart and my soul are just kind of chill. I'm like, this is this dichotomy that's unknown territory, because back in 2021 I was very medically compromised. I wasn't sure if I was going to survive until this day, and I did because I joined Martha Beck's program. So it was pivotal in my life. And so I'm a huge advocate, and people can tell by the questions I'm asking. I'm just curious how it impacted you, because for me, it was life-saving. And it slowly brought me towards people who I resonated a lot with, who were more and more vulnerable. And I felt like, oh, I'm not alone in this. Oh my goodness. And the only thing I hadn't tried for my own mental health healing was coaching. And that's why I was kind of desperate when I signed up. I was like, please save me. And of course, Martha Beck couldn't save me. You couldn't save me. The people in it couldn't save me. We have to save ourselves. But it was that community that really was the life-saving aspect. So before, I was so lonely, and it made me feel so hopeless and more nervous, more afraid, and my visions were much darker. Like I just couldn't see options. Darker in like the black hole of despair with no options type, rather than like this white canvas, you get to paint on it what you want, right? And the bright, beautiful colors. But now, facing uncertainty, what I'm leveraging and leaning on is these beautiful connections we've had with humans who are walking their experience. They're vulnerable, they are honest, they're authentic, and they are supportive. And they say, I see you. I also don't have all the answers. And that's okay. And like, wow. So it's so life-changing to be in a community where you can feel support and cared for. And I think what you were showcasing about getting back in tune with yourself and your essential self, it's like when we present that to the world, we get the community that's truly where we belong, versus when we presented our socialized self. Like for me, that I'm like, I don't relate to these. I just don't relate. I am having trouble connecting. I felt like I was abandoning parts of myself, like I was betraying parts of myself, but I didn't have the words for it. Does that
Yeah,
resonate with you?
absolutely. Absolutely. This whole idea that if I'm trying to fit the mold of what's expected, then I'm not really belonging in that space either, because that's not me. And if I truly just share with the world who I am, then the people are drawn to me more because they see me, they find that uniqueness more appealing, more attractive than someone who just continues to fit the mold with what everyone else is doing too. So adding that piece in there too. Yeah, but all of that sense of belonging, Brene Brown's words come to mind as well. And yeah, it just everything about that belonging starts within first, just leaning into that same thing. Safety begins within first. Same with parenting for me, that reflecting inwards first is what matters and what helps with anything moving forward, with the relationships moving forward. And I love that you brought a community, because that has been pivotal for me as well. The Wayfinder community, finding you, finding others like you who support, who help lift us all up. We're not perfect in their own, what they're doing, but we're all just working together to continue to grow. And what I've found that works really well for me is this idea that I'm doing it for more for myself. And as I do it for myself, as I grow personally, I'm just there to lift others up in the same journey with me. So I've had a great opportunity to do it with two other women physicians. Is it okay if I mention what
I
I'm up
was
to with
just
them?
about to ask when the community came
Yeah,
up. I would love for
yeah.
you to talk more about that. Yes, please.
Yeah, so I've had the privilege of working with Sharon McLaughlin, who created Female Physician Entrepreneurs Facebook group, and with Dr. Carrie Atchison, who is an anesthesiologist and a lovely human being. And I got to meet her recently, and it was so much fun. And these kindred spirits, we just found each other. We each complement each other in what we bring, and we're fostering a community of same like-minded women physician entrepreneurs, just trying to figure it out. We're all just figuring it out together. And I loved when you brought the community in there. Like,
Yeah.
we're not perfect. We're still working on ourselves. And as we work together, we can then realize we're not alone. We all have similar struggles. We can be the sounding board for each other and lift each other up and help each other as well. Yeah.
And I have had such the honor of meeting all three of you. We've had one-on-one time. And so really want to endorse and to speak highly of the new collaboration and business that you've all created. It's the Business Mindset MD. Is that how y'all go
Yes.
under? So can you tell
Hmm.
people a little bit more about what that is if they are considering getting support for their entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, it's the fun thing is it meets people right where they are in their journey. There is no wrong step in your journey. It's for people who just have an idea and are not sure where they want to take it. It's for people who already have a functioning business and want to improve on it or have a sounding board for any decisions they need to make. It's for people who are interested in scaling. And it's just a great community of people coming together. We have a foundations mastermind, which is a 9-week intensive weekly check-ins, how to set up a business, how to even find your purpose, getting your website in order, getting SEO, search engine optimization in play, getting social media set up. And then for people who've already taken it, they realize that they keep coming back and retake this foundations course that we offer twice a year because they get something different out of it each time. The first time, maybe they may be leaning into what is my purpose? What is my why? What are my core values for my business and revamping that? The next time they may lean into branding and how to set up a logo. The next time they may lean into marketing. So every time they get something different out of it. And the community of like-minded people being there together, helping each other has been the beautiful aspect to see. And watching them on their journey and making strides forward is so inspirational. Every single one of them has been showing their lights more and have been inspiring to me as well. And I love it.
And I love that purpose and why question. I found for many of us, when we get still, it can be hard to decipher what messages in our head are from society and which ones do we truly want to lean into. And you had mentioned kind of really being still and getting quiet, which is something that I have also found very important. Can you share, what you've experienced and observed when people are really trying to decipher what is my current purpose and my current why, and how they can separate that from the noise of what other people think that their purpose and their why should be?
Yeah. So I'll share with you this quote that's coming to mind for me, which is actually how I start our program. The quote is, "Your mission in life is where your deep joy and the world's deep hunger meet."
Mm.
And I actually heard it first being mentioned by Martha Beck the first time I ever heard her speak. And it just, that got me hooked. It's not her quote, it's by Richard Nelson Bowles, and he has it in his book, What Color is Your Parachute? But just repeating it, your mission in life is where your deep joy and the world's deep hunger meet. And when we are struggling to find that deep joy, a lot of times there's this feeling of fear or unsafety coming in. And working on that part is key to tease out those limiting beliefs that keep coming up, to allow those to sit by the side and truly leaning into what our true passion is, what we truly find joy in doing. And that is one of the things that I can offer and help with too. I love doing that
Oh
part.
my gosh, I love this. I am all over this. So tell people, where can they work with you?
Yeah. So right now, the best way to find me is on my website, wayfindingmoms.com. There is a link right there to just book a chat with me for 30 minutes to see how I can help you. I offer one-on-one coaching for any professional woman who needs help with any transitions that they're going through, whether it's motherhood, whether it's career transitions, whether they're just not sure what's next for them and trying to figure that out. And parent coaching is a part of that, where I offer group coaching sessions to help parents realize they're not alone in their struggles
Mm.
and lean in, reflect back on the kind of parent they wish to be, find their values there too, and move from there on what they want to instill in their own children. So that's wayfindingmoms.com for anyone who's interested. And of course, for women physicians, the program, the Foundations Business Program that we offer is currently ongoing. We're on week 2 this week, and you can find us there for businessmindsetmd.com. So I look forward to seeing and being introduced to so many more people. And it took me leaving my practice to get more and more connections and find all these beautiful souls and people. And I love doing it. And I want to connect, even if you just want to say hi, because it just
Yeah,
feels so great to meet new people.
that's awesome. I'm going to make sure to share your links down below. Do you have anything you'd want to make sure that the audience takes away from our discussion today?
Is it okay if I share a little blurb that I heard recently?
Yes, please
It,
do.
it it just came out of the blue. I'm not the kind of person who listens or watches video on Facebook, but that video's link was blinking at me and there was a lot of messages there. So I clicked on it. The first one I saw is Steve Jobs giving a speech to Stanford graduates at a commencement speech. And something he said just completely blew my mind. And I'll share it here if it's okay.
Yeah, please do.
He says, so he's talking about how he was fired from Apple and then landed up meeting his wife and starting two new businesses, including Pixar. So he says, I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going is that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you will know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking, don't settle.
I love that. Of course, all the limiting beliefs are going to be coming up as people listen to that and they try to convince themselves that it doesn't apply to them. So we'll work through those together. And thank you so much, Priyanka, for being here. I've really valued our time together.
Thank you, Jillian. It's been an honor and a true pleasure. And I'm so grateful you're in my life. Thank you.
Yes, likewise.